Hello, this is Thumbs United. Right now we have our Let's Play of Heavy Rain. This is episode 5. And this is our last episode of Heavy Rain. We're going to finish it in this last go. It's going to be a little bit longer. I think it's going to be another 2 hours. I think it's like 2 hours and... Well, it might just be 2 hours. I'm not sure if it's 2 hours and 40 minutes or something. But it's going to be a longer one.
I'm here to see Paco.
Paco? There ain't no Paco here, fella. Get lost.
So,
Are you absolutely
long
certain?
Story, but I interviewed twice at this.
He's in his
one
office.
place.
Take the stairs over there.
I used to work seasonal there, and so I was like, oh, I'll apply to see if I can be like a sales associate, but it would be part-time, but it wouldn't be seasonal.
So I hear you come in.
I didn't get that job, and I was like, oh, darn.
Crazy beach came
Didn't
around
get
here
it.
asking
And so
questions
then
about the
I went to
apartment.
look for a job somewhere else. And,
I don't know what you're doing down there.
But
I don't
then
want to know.
I got this email
whatever
from
that
the same
shit
company I wanted to work at.
Beginning to draw
And they're like,
attention.
we're hiring in seasonal. I was like, what? Because the last time they were hiring in seasonal, it was in...
I know. You get me out of prison.
It was in
But that
October.
fucking bitch nearly killed me.
And so I was like, wow, this is funny because they
Everything you
were starting
ask.
in...
I think my debt to you is dead.
they were starting in August. I was like, well, that's weird.
So don't fuck around, man. No. Oh, wait.
So not only did
I
it
can
say
still
that
help
they
you
were
out.
hiring for seasonal,
No.
I mean, that's kind of like...
Don't keep me.
Not chunk me out, but it's like an automated one. But this one was saying, hey, we want you to apply again for seasonal. We liked you the last time you were here. And so they're like, please submit your application to hire again. And I was like, that's weird. Because I had just, not gotten the job for the non-seasonal. So I was like, that's fine. I like seasonal. And there are a lot of seasonal positions, like freight and some of the other tasks that I enjoyed doing. So I was like, okay, I'll apply for seasonal. And so then, the interview goes great. And the other thing is that it's a group interview. And so the last time I interviewed for seasonal, it was a group of 3 of us. And so we all had to answer like the same question. And it was interesting, but it was really stressful because, you had to be polite. Not that I'm not polite, but you're very aware that your answers can be the same as the other person's answers, even if it was true and they are the same. But so that was something I had to. That was difficult. And so for this job interview, there was 7 of us. Not 3, 7 people getting interviewed. And well, I thought the interview went okay for me, but there were some people and it's just like, oh, okay. Like at one point, there was this one, the store manager was explaining, we group things by brand, and they're like, the pants are grouped by brand, the men's pants are grouped by brand, and like the women's clothes are grouped by brand. And the one day when he was talking about the men's brand, she's like, are you sure that the men's pants are grouped by brand? And she's like, this is the store manager, they know how they group stuff. And she was like, are you sure? Because it wasn't when I used to shop here. I was like, oh my god. This lady was giving so much attitude. And she said, I guess it's hard for some people because they think, the customer, you're always right, but it's like you're applying for the job. You're not the customer anymore. And it was just really rude, to the store manager. So that was like, wow. And then the other thing that happened was there was the store manager was like, we put our customers first.
Paco know the guy came to see him.
Sorry, I don't speak cop.
Being very, nice to our employees and everything, and so builds like a
Watch
work
my lips, asshole!
environment
I
that
got no
everyone's,
time to
nice to
translate.
each other.
Did Paco
And
know
so
the
he does
guy?
that,
Yes
and one of
or
the
no?
Other applicants starts clapping. And it's just like,
John.
oh my goodness! But like not just like
He said
a
his
little
name was
clap.
John.
It was just like really loud, kind of
Friend of
obnoxious
Paco's.
clapping.
Always let him straight up.
Okay, somebody's a little too eager to eat the dog food, so to say, or the propaganda. But so anyway, long story short, it takes them 24 hours to see if they're gonna hire you, and I didn't get it. So then, I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. I thought I had it in the bag, but it was like okay, because it was just like the job is pretty stressful. And so the deal was that I wasn't going to go back to school this semester because I figured, I have the job
Madison
for
Page.
fall semester, and then I'll go back.
What was
in
the
winter.
journalist doing
Because
here?
usually 99% of the people that hire for seasonal, they don't hire back to be permanent.
Orchid pheromones.
So
The fucking origami
I was pretty
killer.
sure I wasn't going to get the permanent job. And so my parents were like, I'll go back in winter. But then, so I didn't get the job. So I was like, oh my goodness.
Paco
So I
Mendez
had
was no saint.
4
His
days
rap sheet
before
reads like the
school started.
telephone book.
And where I live in Michigan, it's actually for some reason illegal. It's like one of the things in the Constitution that you can't
The
start
killer was looking for something.
any school before Labor Day or Memorial Day. No, it's Labor Day. You can't start it before Labor Day, and so I was like, I had.
His coat pocket.
So when I
tore
figured
it
out I
off
didn't
during
have the
the
job,
fight.
I
Two receipts
had
from the same gas station.
Wednesday, Thursday, and
Interesting.
Friday before the long weekend. So I go Wednesday to my advisor because I have to see my advisor to sign up for my class. And I got there at
45
like 4
caliber
'cause I planned it.
semi-automatic.
Whereas they usually have spots opening later in the day. So I go there. There's nobody there. And I'm like, oh, I'm here to see my advisor. And the lady was like, oh, no, we're not accepting walk-ins right now. I was like, really? Because there was nobody there. And she was like, yeah, come back tomorrow at like 9:30 in the morning. And then, so that part was weird.
45 caliber.
Because the other part that was weird was there was a line that said, for walk-ins. And so there were a bunch of people in the line. And I was like, why do you guys still have... They had this line set up that said that. And I was like, why don't you guys say, closed or something? But no. So I come back the next day, and this is Thursday. And they're like... And so I get in line. There's like a few people. There's like 6 people in front of me. And it's 9:30 in the morning. And then I get there, and they're like, okay, give me your name, your student ID, and, she said, and my cell phone number. And she said, like, we'll text you when it's your time to come up. And so I sit down, and I'm like waiting for this text message, but I'm not worried about it. Because I'm like, oh, I'm going to stay here, and then they'll call out my name and whatnot. So then an hour and a half later, and this is not unusual for the college, because usually it takes like 2 to 4 hours. I think the longest I've been there was 4 hours waiting to see my advisor. But, so I'm waiting, and I have my iPad, and I have my phone. And an hour and a half later, I get a text message, and it says, you're the
Madison
40th
Page.
person in line.
She may be a
Your
witness.
estimated time is 270 minutes. So that's like, I'm trying to do the math in my head, but while I was there, it was like I had 4 hours left before my turn, and I was like, I'm not waiting here because I
Shit.
didn't eat breakfast.
Looks like a dead
and so
end.
I was like, I'm going back
Road to
home.
nowhere.
And so I drove home, and then the way the text messaging system works, it tells you, you can text back you type the letter S and it tells you how much time is left.
I seem to spend
So
most
every
of my
like
time getting the
15
shit
to
kicked
30
out of me.
minutes, I'd text, the S and it'd say like, oh,
Suspect dead.
you're
Someone
the
tries to
38th
kill me.
person. You still have
On the right track, do you think?
60 minutes. And I was like, okay. And they don't tell you in hours. They just tell you in minutes. And I'm like, okay.
Gotta go.
And so then, 4 hours later, I had set my alarm for 4 hours. And so 4 hours later, I text. And it's like, oh, you're the 30th person in line.
It all happened so
and
fast. Didn't have time to
you
see
have
his
an hour and a
face.
half. And I'm like, okay. Once it gets down to you have 40 minutes, I'm going to drive to
Killer
my
may have left some
college.
clues in the
I'm only
office.
10 minutes away from the college, from my house. And so then, all of a sudden it texts me.
Hacko knew the killer. That's why he was
Not
killed.
even 2 minutes later after it tells me I have an hour left. And so I text. So what really happened was I texted and it said, okay, you have 50 minutes. I'm like, okay, 40 minutes, I'm going to go. And then right after that, it said, oh, there's only 10 people left in front of you. You should start heading to college now. And so then it said, you have 40 minutes till you're, no, not 40. So you had 38 minutes until it was time for me to see my advisor. I'm like, oh my goodness. Why do they have 40 now? I have 38. And so I'd get in the car immediately and start driving to the college. And so it took me 10 minutes. And then, so I get to the college, and it's only been 10 minutes since the last text message. And it says, you're number one in line. If you need more time, press this button. Or if you want to stay in the front of the line, press this button. But you only have 10 minutes to do it. And so what happened was it had texted me the second I got in the car. And so I didn't see it until I got to the college. And so I typed the button so that I can stay in line. And it's like, nope, you took too long. You're out of the system. You have to
I couldn't do it.
back at the back of the line. I was like, are you kidding me?
I was supposed
luckily
to kill him to save Sean.
The secretary that, and she was like, oh, I'll go talk to somebody, but I'll put you in the back of the line just in case. And I was
You're
like,
not the origami killer.
So it was another
Ethan.
220 minutes.
You're not responsible for those murders.
And so
I can prove it.
she goes and talks to a couple of advisors, and then she comes back to me and she's like, yeah, they'll see you. Because it was a
Saving
bug where
Sean is all that
I went
matters
from having
now.
30 minutes to having no minutes in 10 minutes. And I was like, the system was really annoying. And so she was like, okay, I'll go to see an advisor. And she said that once he was done with the student, he'd come see me. And I was like, okay. So I'm waiting. And I waited there for like an hour and a half. And the person never came out. And it's like, some people need a lot from their advisor. I mean, I didn't, because I had already had the classes I needed. I was only going to take 2. And so then the secretary comes back out, and she's like, are you still here? And I was like, yeah, the advisor never came out. And then she's like, hold on, I'm going to go talk to him right now. And so she goes, talks to him, and she's like, okay, come with me. He's ready. I was like, well, thank goodness she came back out to help me. And so then went into the advisor, and I just told him which classes I needed, and he set them up, and I was like, okay. But then, so he approved the classes I needed to take, but it wasn't the actual, like, courses. It was just that I could take those classes. And I was like, so then he says, okay, go to billing, and they'll pick your classes. So I went, and, I mean, good thing I did at the place, because once I got to the place, there was a problem where the classes I wanted to take that were both at the what's it called? Both at the main campus. One of them was for honors, and I was like, I'm not doing an honors class. And it was for art appreciation, because I was like, I don't need it to be extra hard. But then the other thing was that so there was only one of the computer class I could take, so I signed up for that. And then it turned out that the art class I was going to take was like 20 minutes away. But there was only a half hour in between each class. I was like, And the person who was helping me check out was like, "Are you sure you want to do it?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I'm sure." But the other funny thing is, like, she was like, "Okay, I'm gonna check to see, what the time, how long it takes you to get from main campus to the satellite school." And she pulled up MapQuest, and I was like, "Oh, that's so funny." And I don't have anything against MapQuest, but my mom used to be a big fan of MapQuest, and now she uses Google. But I was like, that's funny, and it's kind of scary. I mean, not that MapQuest is bad, but I'm a computer science major, but I'm kind of scared of watching other people use the computer, because it's not that, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's kind of cringy, where it's like, oh, you don't know how to do this, and it's like something simple. But then it's also, I guess, I'm not sure how to say this, but I think
things might have worked out between us.
For some reason, don't assume
if
like
circumstances had been different.
They definitely don't think I'm a computer science major, but
she's the only person I can trust.
I know you use computer.
And now I have to be alone to do what I have to do.
I don't want to like correct them or anything. It's like, oh, like
I've already wasted too much time. I've got to get
computer.
through this last trial.
And so I'm checking out, and I put in my credit
Only
card
one
info,
more origami figure,
and
then I find my son.
I'm using Chrome, and the lady's like, okay, just press enter. I was like, yes, I know. So I press enter, and then Chrome says, do you want me to save your credit card number for future use? And so I click no, and then the lady's like, oh, why did you click no? You should have clicked yes. And so then the credit card didn't go through. And she was like, oh, that prompt is so that it accepts your credit card. And I was like, no, it's not. And I was trying to be polite. And I was like, no, it's Chrome asking, not the website that takes your payment. I was like, I don't want the browser to remember my credit card number. And she was like, nope, that's not how it works. And I was like, oh. And I was like, it's like, oh my goodness. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Chrome and Safari on OS X, but they both save your, they'll save your credit card information the same way they save like a website password. And so that when you go to check out on like a website, it will automatically fill your credit card information. It will have you ask you for like a certain part of the credit card.
She's still
to make sure you're the same person, but
no explanations.
You definitely don't.
Before she
and this was
up.
a shared computer at the college, so you definitely don't want your college computer to save your credit card information. So I was like, oh my goodness. But so then I finally signed up for the class. Doesn't take my credit card. I had the money in the account, and I had extra money in the account, but it's like no. And so I'm like, okay, and so the way it works at the college is, because it was so close to classes starting, you had to do the full payment within 24 hours, or else they would automatically drop you from the class and give it to the next person. So I was really lucky, because both the classes I was the last person to sign up.
I should have guessed.
And
all this time, and I had no idea.
Ethan, what's the matter?
And so
I thought I meant something to you.
Listen,
You're a pretty good nurse for a fucking journalist!
Ethan,
so,
I wanted to tell you, but...
What kind of article were you gonna write?
I kept trying
my
to do my
life with a
credit
serial
card,
killer?
and the lady was like,
How
okay,
I
you
caught
can go
the
home,
origami
and
killer.
as long as
Maybe
you
you'll
do it
get a
before
book
midnight,
deal.
it will start
I hope it was fucking worth it!
And so
Ethan, it's not what you think.
I tried it a couple times.
You
still
lied to
didn't
me,
work.
Madison!
And then I went to
All this
call
time
my
you fucking lied to
bank,
me! I thought you
and
wanted to help me, but you're only thinking of writing a
I
fucking
called them right
book!
I called them at 5:50, and they closed at 6 o'clock. And then my phone got disconnected.
It's true.
And so then it was like 6:01.
I'm a journalist.
And they weren't accepting phone calls anymore. I was like,
and
no,
I knew that you were the
missed
father
it.
of the boy who had disappeared, and...
So then I go back to my school's website,
I wanted
they're like,
to
okay,
cover
we
the
accept
story.
electronic check.
But then I saw what you were going through to
I've
save
never done
your
this
son.
before. I mean,
And
so
And I
went
understood
and got
how
my
much you
checkbook,
love him.
and it's the same one tied to my credit card. And
I wanted to tell you the
I
truth.
gave him my information.
but
I
I
was like,
couldn't.
please work. And so
I was afraid that you
Thursday
that
night, you know,
may
I
not
was checking my
believe me.
bank. They didn't take the money out. I was like,
I was afraid that
okay.
you'd ask me to go.
So then Friday morning, still didn't take the money out. I'm like,
All
this
I
is
want
weird.
is
But
for you
they
to
gave me
find
a
your son
receipt saying that I
alive.
had been credited for the amount.
And when it's all
And so I
over,
was like,
I
why
want
haven't
to
they
be
taken
with
the
you.
money out of my bank? And so I'm like waiting. And so the whole weekend happens. And so the 3-day weekend. And so,
I'm sorry,
so
Ethan.
Tuesday is when both my classes started.
I'm so
And so I woke up
sorry.
Tuesday morning and I was like, if they didn't take the money by then I was pretty sure I didn't have the class. And I was like, I might not have to go to school.
You're leaving.
They didn't take the money. And they probably
you?
gave my seat to somebody else. And so I checked
It's
my
the last origami
bank one last time and it was like, they took the
The
money.
last
And so I
letters.
was like,
I don't
oh,
know where
good.
Sean is.
I guess I am going to
Take care, Ethan.
college this semester. So,
I can't lose you now.
and that was like a big ordeal before we went. And so, the 2 classes I'm taking is, one is A+ software,
I'm gonna go find something to eat.
which is a certification class.
Wait for me. I'll
and
be back
then
in 10 minutes.
The other is art appreciation. And the part that I kind of don't like is that, well, I had an old advisor, and he wasn't very good, but he was like, let's get the basics out of the way. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to take a humanities. This was my first year in college. And so we agreed that I take this one class. So I took one that was basic drawing, and I did all right in that. And then the next class I took was art education, and so I assumed that would cover my humanities, and I guess at the time it did, but then somehow or other art education was taken off the humanities list. So I was like, seriously? So I'm only, right now, not including this semester, I'm
Cops.
only 3 classes
They're
away
looking
from
for Ethan.
graduating.
It
So
looks like a raid.
I had to take another humanities class, and so I'm taking art appreciation, which kind of is like more entry level to what I've been doing. So it's like, I don't know, I don't understand why they don't count the art education as the humanities, because a lot of it is you're learning the same things
What's going on?
you would learn in art appreciation,
great.
but you're
Like
also
being in a
learning how to
TV
teach
show.
them to
Who'd have thought it?
our focus
the
was younger
origami
kids.
killer renting a
So it
room
was like,
here. He registered under a false
3rd
name,
through
but I recognized
6th
his
grade,
face.
and how to teach them and what to look for. But I did enjoy art education.
Come on, what was the damn number? Come on. Pick up the phone.
Hello?
The cops. They're in the motel. You've got to get out of here.
He's still on the move! Get him! He's making a run for it! He's on the balcony!
And so I guess going back to school, and I think it's getting out of the house. Like before I would get out of the house and like go to a store or something, but I'm feeling less depressed than I usually do. It came back for a little while, and it was kind of, it wasn't like sad boo-hoo, but it was like, oh, I have to deal with this again, because I just started getting a little bit more depressed right before I went to California, and then it was just like the whole time there I was kind of like,
Don't move!
a little more depressed than I would have liked to have been. But then I came back and I came back and I was still a little bit depressed, and then school started and I was just like, I guess getting out and interacting with more people. And that helped. And so I guess that was good. But then, you know, anxiety is back, and so like I get so the first day of class I start to get nervous and stuff, but then second day of class I started getting really nervous. Do I really go here? Blah blah blah. I had like a new motto, and that's like feel the fear and do it anyway. I'm going to class. Because before, there was a couple of times where it was like I get really anxious, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to class. And so I just go to the library, and I do all the work they were doing in class, and then submit it. And I was like, I'm not going to skip class. And so, you know, class is good, and so the joke is, I get anxious, and then the second I get in the classroom, it's just like, it's totally fine, it was all imaginary, and, you know, class is good, but just interacting with a lot more people, I feel better, because before, you know, working as a gardener, and kind of doing the handyman stuff, you don't really work with anyone.
Hey, what's the matter with
It was
you?
all kind of solitary work. And, I mean, I get surprised. People are supposed to be a little bit social. So I guess that's a plus. And I didn't expect that. So that's nicer. And then in other news, the other video games I've been playing, so I'm playing Mass Effect Andromeda, but there are parts where it's like I don't feel like going any further in Andromeda, so then I pick up another game. And so before I play like Halo 3 in the Master Pack, or I do a little bit of racing with Need for Speed Rivals, and just light games where it's just like it takes 20 minutes or so and you beat the level. But for some reason I was like, it's kind of disappointing because I didn't want to play Halo 5.
You should have listened to me, Mr. Shelby. I told you to drop the investigation.
Your son is a serial killer.
And so,
how many people does he have to kill before you turn him in?
Gordy has his faults, but he's still my son.
I was disappointed that, you know, I don't play it as often. Like for Halo 3, I'll play Halo 3 like once or I'll take
your investigation
like
is
2 or 3 times a month.
For good.
Different levels, and so, and the same with Halo 2. I used to play Halo 1 all the time, but I just don't anymore. And so I was like, why don't I play Halo 5 that much? And so finally I said I just have to. So I feel like I'm not getting my money's worth out of it if I don't play it more often. So I like just launched it, and then I had a podcast going, and I was playing it on mute, and I was like, this is actually a fun game. You know, I forgot how fun it was. And so I just started from the first level, and I'm on the last level now, and so in like 4 days I would just blast my way through it. And so I was like, it was fun, and that's kind of part of the depression is you forget the things you enjoy, and nothing really seems enjoyable until you actually start doing them, and then you kind of forget that you're depressed, and it's like, oh, this is fun. I forgot how much fun this is, and you're like, okay. So a lot of it is just, you know, putting yourself out there and, you know, like write down the things you used to enjoy and just do them, and then, you know, you forget you're sad, and it's like, oh, I enjoyed this. But it does take a lot to get to the point where
she's lost consciousness.
You're doing the things you like. And the other game I've been playing is Gears of War 3.
Lauren!
And I
can't leave her like that.
I'm doing Gears of War 3 on the Xbox 360, but I'm playing it with the backwards compatibility on my Xbox One because the Xbox I have doesn't have HDMI. And the whole reason why I'm playing Gears of War is I want to play through the whole game, but I want to play through it with 3D mode on my 3D monitor. And so my And so my monitor doesn't have a composite out. And so it was like impossible for me to play the 360 with 3D.
Bastard.
Because it had to be through HDMI. And so, I mean, it's really enjoyable. And the 3D is pretty good. But there's like certain levels I like in Gears of War 3, and it's like there's like a couple of middle levels, beginning level, and then the last level. And so because I played it on the Xbox One, on the Xbox 360, and I don't have the cloud save, I have to play through the whole game to unlock everything. And so I had forgotten like how long this game was. And just like, it seems like it's taking forever. I've been playing for like 2 weeks, maybe 40 minutes each time, and then still haven't gotten all the way through it. And so I'm like, I think I'm 3 levels, if I remember correctly, away from the end. But I mean, it is fun, but there's some levels I don't want to do. Like right now I'm at the submarine part, and I don't really enjoy the submarine. And it's funny because there was this one part in the game where it's asking you, oh, what do you want to do? And usually it's like one or the other. Like you pick one and then you don't have to do the next thing. But you know, there were like 2 parts the submarine needed. And they were like, oh, do you want to get this part? Or do you want to get that part? So I thought, you know, it would split my group up into 2 and the other team would get it. No, it's like you still have to do both. And it's like, why do you even ask which one I want to do? I mean, I guess they only ask because they want to know which one you want to do first, but it's like, I don't really care. I'm going to have to do them both. And so like that was a clue that I needed to take a break. So that was that. I was playing a lot more Gears and Halo 5. But I really like Gears of War 3, but I never played Gears of War 1.
Don't come near me, or I'll shoot.
But I played like the first 2 levels of Gears of War 2 with my friend, and so. But I never finished it, so I was like, oh yeah, I'll go pick up Gears of War 2. So I have, so I got it from, I got it used from a used game store. They just sell used
Your idiot son killed all
video
those
games,
kids, didn't he?
and so I'm
He's
playing
the
through
origami
it,
killer.
and it's just like it was so gross
he's innocent.
and
He's not a
gory,
killer.
and it wasn't like the violence that bothered me, but it was just like a lot of this is really, you know, just gory and kind of gross, and it's just like I didn't like it.
You're
So
a
it's
fucking
funny
liar.
because if I would have played
tell me
Gears of
the
War
truth.
2,
No.
I would have never bought
please.
Gears of War 3.
Don't hurt me.
But
Last
they
chance.
dropped a lot of the,
I don't know.
gory
I
scenes
swear.
and stuff in Gears of War
I
3.
don't know anything.
And I just like it a lot better. And so I never finished Gears of War 2 because it was just like, this is too much, and I don't want to finish it. It was like, it was
tell you
really
everything.
painful just getting through to the part where I had gotten. And so I was,
Gordy,
and so it just made me appreciate
Gordy
Gears
always
of War
wanted his
3,
fun, you know.
like how much they
He wanted
edited it down, and
to be
it
like
was
the
just more
origami
consistent.
killer. He kidnapped that kid.
And by consistent, I mean
held
like
him under the
Gears
water
of
for
War
a
2
little
had
too
like a
long.
couple levels where like there
was
was
an
nothing
accident.
that gross
An
going on.
unfortunate
And
accident.
then it had like this one level where
He
you're
just wanted to play.
cutting different arteries inside the
told me
giant worm, and it's just like, oh.
He was crying. He was so sorry for what had happened. Whatever he did, Gordy is my son.
No one will miss him.
What?
That boy, Gordy killed. No one will miss him. The street trash, like so many others.
You disgusting pile of shit. And what about John Shepard? Why did you put flowers on his grave?
I own the construction site where he died. I never forgot. I've been putting flowers on his grave for 30 years.
John had a twin brother. What happened to him?
I don't know. He was adopted, I think. His mother should know. Her name is Anne. Anne Shepard. That girl, Lauren, she was just a whore. You'll forget her in no time. Come and work for me, Shelby. I'll pay you well. You'll be able to have all the girls you want.
Never say her name again. You hear me? Never.
My heart! My heart! Quickly! I need my pills. In that drawer, there.
And so, as I was saying, I'm still trying to get through Mass Effect 3. I mean, not Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect Andromeda. And a lot of the reviewers, like there was one in particular, and he said, he liked Mass Effect Andromeda fine, but he started playing another game and just never went back to it and never finished it.
I already regret it.
I was like, how dare you, not finish a Mass Effect game? But I'm not sure what part, he stopped playing Mass Effect, but I've definitely gotten to a part where it's not like the game is not enjoyable, but there's a point where it gets really repetitive and you're like doing the same thing across a lot of different planets, and you have to do the same thing on each planet to like kind of revive the planet, and it gets to the point where it's like, I don't really want to, and a lot of the steps you have to take, they are the same, but some of them are not enjoyable. And so like one of the things, like I could never figure out how to play Sudoku. Never. I had tons of people explaining it, like, oh, you do this and this.
Hello,
and like
I'm
the
looking
numbers
for
can't
Anne
be
Shepard's
the
room.
same row and column.
Please sign the
and
visitor's
everything.
book.
And so they built in Sudoku as a mini game.
Are you a
and
member
have
of
to
the
complete
family?
it to
Yeah, you
restore
could
the
say
planets.
that.
And it's like,
Oh, she'll be
but not only
pleased
that,
to
it's
have
not
a
only just
visitor.
Sudoku. It's like
No one ever
Sudoku
comes
with
to
these
see her.
alien glyphs.
With the Alzheimer's,
And
she
like,
has trouble
I hate
remembering
it.
things, but
And so,
it'll still please her.
the rest of the missions are fun on the
It's room
planet. Then you have to
19
do
at
a
the end
couple
of
of
the
those.
corridor. Thank you.
Just like, stop. I don't want to do it. And so, I mean, I do complete them. It takes me a little while. But then, and so then there's this other part where you have to activate this one section. And then once you do, it's like the defenses come on. And they're essentially the whole section starts to go like nuclear and tries to purge itself. And so you have to run out of the section you're trying to activate. And so it's always a race. And if you take too long, then the purge gets to you and you die and you have to repeat the same section. And so, I mean, it's fun, but it's really stressful. And so there is that. But, and so like I said, like I have to I'm playing Mass Effect in like breaks, where it's just like I have to take
Hello,
breaks
Mrs.
like with
Shepard.
other games. And so I'm not.
Is it time for my pills already?
And
No,
so I mean,
Mrs.
like it
Shepard,
is.
They're never on
It is
time
fun,
with
but
my
it's gotten to
pills.
the
I
point
don't know
where
what
it's
they
fun
do
in small
here.
doses.
The other hospital, they were
And
always
so
on
I'm-
time. But
I'm like
here,
16 hours into the game, and I'm not trying to 100% the game, but I am doing a lot more side missions than I normally would.
My name is Madison
And
Page.
it's just kind of because
I'm a
I
journalist.
don't really want to
I'd
continue
like to
with
ask
the
you
story
some
missions.
questions about your son.
I don't like this hospital.
But the side
food
missions are
isn't
fun.
very good, you
I mean,
know.
it's just some of the stuff you have to settle the different planets and everything. That I'm not finding fun. And so I was like, oh my goodness,
Do
this
you
guy was
remember
right.
John?
This reviewer.
My
And
Johnny.
I was like, I should have.
He is a good little boy, you
I
know.
didn't like go out and have a Twitter storm or whatever. Say, I can't believe you didn't like Andromeda.
Your
but
other
he just,
son,
like,
Mrs. Shepard. John's twin brother.
made me appreciate
was
like
his
his
name?
reviews more because he's just like,
What other
you're
son?
right. And then
I have no other son.
saw this other
I never
reviewer
had
and
any
she
children.
was like, yeah, I hated the first 15 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda, but
Try
really
to
liked the
remember,
rest of
Mrs.
it.
Shepard.
Last 50.
John's twin brother was placed with a
And I
foster
was like,
family
that's
after
good.
the
So I'm gonna
accident.
continue playing the game.
What was the name
but
of the foster
I did one of the
family?
things I said I wasn't
I
going to do.
asked them for a
And
television,
so
you know.
that was I started
They
GTA
said I didn't
5.
have enough
and I
money.
already beat
It's a
GTA
pity.
5, and I actually
I'm
already
fond of
captured
television.
it to do a Let's Play. Capture is just I recorded the
I know
entire
what
story
happened at
mode
Carnaby Square.
from beginning to end.
Do you remember?
And it was a big capture.
Carnaby Square.
I recorded.
I think I used to live there a long time ago.
I kind of switched
didn't
the
have
formats
much
I
money
did
at
Let's
the
Play. I
time,
made
you
them
know.
extremely longer.
We had to make do
And
with
so-
very little.
For GTA, I started off doing an hour and 40
You had a
minutes
son named John.
Let's Plays, but then
and
it
John
started
had a
to get
twin
to
brother.
like 2 hours and 30 minutes
Do you have my
for
pills?
some of the episodes.
It's time for my pills.
And so there ended up being a total of 30 episodes that were between
Did you make these origami
145
figures?
minutes and
My little
230
paper
minutes
animals.
per
They
episode.
played with them for hours. I showed
And
my
so-
boys how to make them, you know.
But it was for
Yes, your
GTA
boys,
on
Mrs.
the PC. But I got it for the Xbox
John and
because my PC
what was your
is
other
busy
son's name
rendering,
again?
and
My other son,
it doesn't have
I
any
only have
time to
one
do
son.
video gaming.
my little
It
Johnny.
just renders months at a time. And so I said, oh, I'm gonna beat Mass Effect Andromeda, and then I'm gonna go play GTA 5. And it got to the point where it's just like, I really don't want to do this level in Andromeda. And so I was like, why am I beating myself up? I should just go play GTA 5. And so I was like, okay, I'm only going to do the one mission. And I was like, and for some reason, I thought maybe I could get my cloud save from Rockstar or the Social Club. But on the Xbox, it was like, oh, you have to do the first mission before you can access any of the menu. And I was like, okay. So I do the first mission, and then I'm like, you know what, I'm having a lot of fun. So then I do like the second mission, then I do the third mission, and then a couple days later, I'm like 20% of the way done with the game, and I'm like, I guess I'm not going to try to get my cloud save. So I'm pretty much just playing to have fun on the Xbox. And that was kind of something that contrasted, because it was like, I'm having a lot of fun, even though I've already played GTA 5. It's just like, this is a lot of fun. But then I go back into Andromeda, and it's just like, oh, it's kind of like pulling teeth. There's some parts
What
that
a
are like,
lovely orchid. My
I don't
sons
wanna play
loved
this. And
orchids.
there are
We
more
used to grow them
characters
in the back.
in
When John
Andromeda
died,
that I just don't
I
care
laid
for.
orchids on
Like
his
in Mass Effect
grave.
2, Mass Effect 3, I cared about all of the characters, some more than others, but there were never some that I just didn't want to even deal with. In Andromeda, there's some where you just like, they're so over the top. And just like, some are inconsistent. Like PB, she always wants to talk and yak about everything, and it's just like, stop. And then, I kid you not, there's this one, like, not even side mission, it's like a to-do list on each planet where she's like, oh, bring me all this tech and then I'll talk to you. And it's just like, you want to talk all the time and you're kind of obnoxious, but then you don't even want to talk when I come and try to do some of the side missions with her. And I'm like, seriously, that makes no sense. But I do like the exploring of going to different places. And I like some of the animation, and like
Does Mrs. Shepard ever talk about her past?
the Galaxy
It's
map.
not all very
Like I
clear to her
really
now.
enjoy that kind of animation and
Sometimes
stuff.
she'll remember the oddest things, though.
But I haven't played
I suppose if she
Andromeda,
sees
the
something
original
that reminds her of
Andromeda.
her
I've only
past.
played it with like all the updates, and so a lot of the animation was fixed.
I'm looking
by the
for
time
her
I
other
played.
son.
By the time I
He was adopted. I mean,
started
he's
playing through.
probably changed his name. Is there any official documentation on Mrs. Shepard?
No, there's nothing really. Nothing about her family. I guess if her son
and
was
the other thing
adopted,
is,
then she's the
I'm
only one who
doing
could
a
tell you about that.
a custom face. With
Does she get many
Sarah
visitors?
Ryder. I'm playing as the
She's
female
been here for 10 years
protagonist.
and you're the first.
And so I think that
Sometimes, if you show her things, it
'Cause
seems to trigger a
I'm
memory
not
from
sure
her
if
past.
it's just like the default
You
had
might get
all
it
the
to remember.
character animation
Thanks for the
problems or
advice.
not, but I haven't had any facial animation bugs. There are some that are like funny. It's just like that's kind of not the best face or appropriate face, but nothing big like all the gifs you see on the internet going around of Mass Effect Andromeda. So I am, even though I'm like kind of at this point where I'm not anti the game, but I'm like, I don't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to play Mass Effect Andromeda, because at the beginning, for the first maybe 12 hours, that's how I was. I would wake up and I was like, I have to go play Mass Effect Andromeda, and then I'd go play like 3 hours at a time. It's like I couldn't put it down, but it was very much.
Seems to be
Actually,
working.
I went to California.
She's
and then when
remembering
I came
stuff.
back, it was just like, oh,
Gotta
I'll
find
play,
something else to
you
show
know,
her.
Half hour, 15 minutes, and then
Show
so
her
I-
things that take
I
her
think
back.
the trip really kind of broke my
Her
eagerness
kids loved
to play
origami.
it.
Perhaps if I made a figure for her. Must have something linked to her son's accident in here. A picture or something. Show her things that take her back.
And then in other news, I've been drawing more. I haven't been drawing in like ages, just because I haven't had time. I used to draw all the time in high school, and it was actually required for a lot of the activities in high school, and like everybody had to take an art class throughout the entire year and for all 4 years of high school.
Show her things that take
That
her
part I
back.
really liked, but I mean, once I got to college, I mean, I took basic drawing, I took art education, and other things, and then I kind of doodled in class, and that's mainly the reason why I started drawing again, is because, you know, I'm in class and stuff, and for some reason, I mean, that helps me
kids loved
focus on
origami.
what the teacher's saying
Perhaps
and
if I made a
everything, and
figure
then I
for
like
her.
jot down a note or two while I'm drawing, but I was kind of thinking, maybe I should like start a section of my blog where I just like scan in what I'm drawing, and that way, you know, going to school is like extra productive. But I'm really enjoying the art appreciation class because it's giving me a lot of ideas to write about for my blog. And so that's good.
Oh, you
because
know
I was
how to
kinda
do these little
having
dogs,
writer's
too.
block. It's like I don't know what to
My
do.
children
I
loved
feel like
origami.
I've kind of written
I taught them how to
my
do it.
opinions on everything
John
I
loved
want
the
to write
little
about,
dogs.
and so it's giving
He
me like new
always wanted
topics
to
to
call
write
them
about.
Max.
It's also giving me new perspective
Max,
of things to
Max.
think about that I
All dogs with the
kinda
same name.
used to think was common
I
knowledge,
was wasting my time
and
telling
didn't
him they
have to be
couldn't
written
all
about.
have the same
but
name.
it also,
But he always
things that
wanted his
I,
paper dogs Max.
you know, I didn't even think about.
It's funny, isn't it?
So that's good. So I'm putting that education, you know, to work for me, hopefully. But I have to say, these drawings, they're not good. They're just, I figure, you know, I can post one, you know, one a day or one a week. Just like random things I draw. So don't look forward to them. They're not that great, but I hope they can inspire somebody to draw more. Start your own blog.
Are these your children, Mrs. Shepherd? John and his brother? Is that them?
They're good little boys. Their father never looked after them, always drinking. They didn't have an easy life, you know. I cried when they told me. I'd already lost one of my children, and now they were taking away another one, you understand.
The foster family, Mrs. Shepherd. What was the name of the foster family that adopted John's brother?
They were really very nice people. I met them, you know. In the beginning, I used to go and see my little boy. And then I got sick and I couldn't go any longer. Perhaps he thought I'd forgotten him. He must have thought I didn't love him anymore.
His name, Mrs. Shepherd. What was his name?
But I loved him.
Was
if you only knew how much I missed him.
Please,
the lawnmower's new.
His
this
name.
Is like
what was
a
his
lawn
name?
tractor, technically. That's what they call them, the riding ones.
Come closer.
So that was a whole ordeal. I got on the lawnmower and I was like, why is it so hard to turn? And then I looked at the tire and it was like completely flat. It wasn't just, like flat and low air. It was, the tire had actually come off the wheel. Like that's how deflated it was. So we called up the person we bought the lawnmower from. It's like a John Deere subsidiary. And the guy was like, yeah, just bring the tire in and we'll see what needs to be done. So it took forever. I found a jack in the car. And the car had this self-repair kit, and I was like, I'm going to take that. So I took that and jacked up the lawnmower and took the tire off. It was really easy, and it was kind of surprising how easily it was, because there's essentially, it's almost like a washer, and you just put your plier in it and kind of twist it, and it just comes right off. I was like, wow, that's scary that's all that holds the tire in. So I took it off and I took the tire to him. The guy was like, yep, there was a tiny hole, I found it. And he was like, I just put some glue in it. I mean, it was special tire glue to fix it, but surprisingly it still works. And so he filled it up and we took it home. I put the tire back on, and I've mowed now 2 or 3 times and the tire's still full. I was like, wow. And he was like, yeah, you probably ran over like a needle or something. And I was like, a needle did this? I mean, obviously it'd be like a thorn or something.
Are you prepared
big,
to give
hard
your life
needle.
to save your
I was like,
son?
wow. So now
There
every
is
time
a
I
deadly
mow, I'm
poison
like
in this
really
vial.
nervous. I'm like, please
It will
don't
kill
get
you
a flat
in
tire
exactly
here.
60
Because our yard's
minutes.
really big, so
If you
it's
drink
not
it,
like you can just
you will
push
get
the
the last
lawnmower
letters
back
of the
to
address.
where it needs to go.
You will have enough time to save your
If
son
it
and
gets
say
a
goodbye
flat
to
tire
him,
in the middle
but then
of
you will die.
the yard or whatnot.
You can drink the vial or decide to leave. The choice is yours.
Oh, and then kind of this funny thing happened where well, one of my sisters, I mean, she doesn't like to party, but she likes to stay out with her friends and stuff. So a lot of times my mom and
The last
I,
letters have been sent to your
she'll
phone.
say like, oh, I'm coming home at 11, and then she comes home at 1 and whatnot. And so my mom and I will like kind of take turns to make sure she gets home. And so it was funny because I was falling asleep, and then as I was falling asleep, all of a sudden I realized
I did what I had to, Sean.
My sister hasn't
Your
come
dad's
home.
coming to save you.
You know, I was like, what time is it? It's like 3 in the morning. And so, of course, that wakes me up. And then I realize she's like, of course she's not coming home. She's, studying that in college, she's moved out. And I was like, oh my goodness. But my brain was just like, you haven't seen your sister recently. She must be out still. And it was like, oh, of course, of course she's not home. She's out of state. And so I thought that was funny. I was like, my brain's getting worried over nothing. And so I've had
and I'm out
a
of
couple
time.
of dreams like that with like pets and
Shitty letters
stuff.
from this fucking address. Come on, there's gotta be a way to do this.
Like, I had like this one recurring dream. I was just like, you have fish. And I used to have fish when I was younger. And I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't fed my fish in like years. And like my brain half remembers like it's been 4 or 5 years since I fed my fish. And so then in my dream I'll go over to the aquarium and they're like still alive. And I'm like, oh my goodness, thank God you guys are still alive. So of course I give them a ton of food, and they eat it all. And then I wake up and I'm like, that was
Several
the
different
stupidest
addresses
dream
fit these
ever. Of
letters.
course,
God,
wouldn't be
they're
alive after
scattered
4
all over the
years.
city.
It's just
I
like
don't
a
have
panic
time to
thing
check them
that
all.
Comes back every once in a while. I thought that was funny that I had one of those for my sister, but it happens.
I may only have time for one address. If Sean's not there, I'm done. It's a crapshoot.
And then in terms of editing, I'm working on kind of like overdrive on the videos for Live to Tape, which is a different website I run, and it's a long process.
Only got a few more hours left to save Sean
the
Mars.
videos I have
There has to be a goddamn clue somewhere.
When I have to animate.
It's probably staring me in the face. This kid's
each
gonna
video,
die, and I'm going around in circles!
I kind of have to compound render it. So I have to animate it at and this is really unusual, I have to animate it in like 120 frames per second.
All packed
And then I
up
have
and
to
ready to
export
go?
the video at 120 frames per second. And
What are
then
you
I
talking
wrote
about?
this
The
other program,
investigation's
and what it
over.
does
We
is
know
it
who did it.
calculates the motion
No
blur
longer need your
of each
services
of those
anymore,
frames.
Norman. So you
And
can ride
then
your
it
files all the way
motion
back to
blurs the video
Washington.
down to 30 frames per
I'd be
second,
lying if I said I was gonna miss
making
you.
it easier for everything, because nothing
The
can play.
investigation isn't over. You have
the
absolutely
computer can play
nothing on
120
Mars.
frames per second, but you can't deliver a video
Mars
anywhere
is
playing at
guilty.
120
Case
frames per
closed.
second. So
Anyway, it's no concern
it
of
gets
yours
squished
now.
down
You're
to
off
30
the
frames per
case.
second.
So
and
pack
then
up and fuck off.
I was kind of debating whether I wanted to do this or not, but
Blake,
I have
you are
there's like some censoring I have to do, and so it's just
psychopathic
like
asshole.
covering different things with black
I'll take
par
that as a compliment.
and whatnot.
Honestly, I don't
And the
give a
original
shit
reason
what
why I
you
wasn't going to do it was
I
because
found the origami
a lot
killer.
of the things that
Everyone's
were like
happy.
personal
End
information
of
of other
story.
people.
Have a
Like
nice trip
it wasn't
back,
clear,
Norman.
so clear that you could read it out. But then I'm like, somebody could screen capture it and then like play with the contrast and stuff, and they might be able to kind of get the information out. So I guess I just have to block it out. And so it's been a process. I've
Killer's
gone
name is
through
here.
editing
Somewhere in this data. I just have to
7
find it. Find it before it's too late.
7 episodes
One
of
last
Live to Tape, and
You should be careful not
I mean, it's a
to
long process.
overindulge in
Some of
your
it,
want. Can be
and I'm not using After
Very
Effects, so I don't have the auto keying where it will the
It'll
auto
end up
tracking.
killing you if
I
you're
have to
not
then go
careful.
in and do the tracking myself.
That would be most unfortunate,
and so
sir.
I mean, yes, I'm having to animate some of the in-between frames, but it's kind of to the point where, you know, I have to keyframe each frame. I mean, there's an occasional, you know, sections of the film where I can like skip 5 frames and it can keyframe in between, but it's not very often. And so each video, I try to do 1 episode a day. But then the first one I did, it was really hard. It took me 4
Harry
hours
was
to
in
do.
record mode when I was fighting with the killer.
And so there was
Perhaps
like a lot of things I had to censor out. So I was like, man, is it going to take me 4 hours to do each one? And so then I did the next one the next day, and it took maybe like an hour and a half, and I was like, oh, phew. So a lot of them are taking like an hour and a half, so I'll do 2 a day, but then I'll set up the 3rd video to be done the next day. And so occasionally there's one that takes a long time, but during the setup process, I figure out all the things I have to censor out, and so I kind of know. And so the longest part is doing the animation of, you know, the black bars and everything, but it's getting done, and I'm close to halfway done for the first season of the content that's coming to Live to Tape. So that is coming to Patreon first. It's going to come to Patreon a month before it comes out on the YouTube channel. Right. So then once I'm done with the censoring, I'm going to have to do the voiceover for it. And I'm not worried about the voiceover so much. I mean, I still have to write. I have kind of like the loose script, but I have to write the, you know, word for word script that's going to go over it. But I'm looking forward to that.
The sword was already in Paco's office. It's got nothing to do with the killer.
And then the other thing is, I'm like totally not ready for fall, and you know, winter is coming, but which is kind of why I was hoping to get an extra job, because I don't have to work outside as much, and so then my hours go down that I work. But I'm like, the leaves have already started to change color where I live, and I'm like, oh my goodness, don't. Because like right now I just have to mow, and then I have to like cut things down, but you're just like, oh my goodness. And I have to start leaf pickup, and leaf pickup is like a serious ordeal. I mean, it's nice because I get to work more, but it hurts your back because you have to do a lot of picking up and just up and down, and so it really works you out. So
the gun the killer left at the Blue Lagoon. Perhaps there's some way of
not
tracing
really
its
looking forward to that. I do have new equipment. I have like this fancy new mulcher that can suck up leaves and things, but so I'm looking forward to
impounded in a police case 5 years ago.
Because
the gun is still supposed to be in police custody.
I have to do.
Who checked it out?
Picking up leaves from.
If not a cop.
So I think that season is going to start a lot earlier than it used to. I mean,
2 receipts from the same gas station.
It's colder than it usually
Might
is
be near the killer's home.
Where I live. It's like October weather, and it's like end
the
of
killer
October
lives
weather,
in this zone. 342 people live around
sweater
there.
weather.
Not good enough. Gotta find a means of identifying the killer more precisely.
It's funny, about 2 years ago, I was wearing this one sweater, and I walked in Home Depot, and the lady was like, oh, you're wearing a sweater, is it that cool? She was like making fun of me, and she's like, I don't think it's sweater weather yet. I was like, seriously? But I thought that was funny. So I kind of stuck with me, sweater weather. And the other thing is, I want to do a lot more photography at the parks and everything, but I'm not ready for the leaves to change, because I want to do like one section of photography for spring and summer.
Looks like the killer is a cop.
And then it's just
Guards Blake.
fall. I mean, this year
That would explain the dead-end investigation and his desire to frame
it feels
Ethan
like it
Mars.
was just the new year. It was just winter, and we're almost up. We're in the 9th month, and it's just like everybody's already getting ready for the holidays. It's almost the new year. I'm just like, I'm not ready for that. And I read a couple articles, and a lot of them say, the older you get, it's just like the way the brain is structured, that the older you get, it doesn't monitor time the same way. So it feels like
Gold watch.
Time is speeding up because your brain doesn't pay as much attention to time as when you're a kid and everything.
The watch they give for promotions to lieutenant. The killer is a cop.
And then I think on the last episode I talked about how one of the computers they used to render died or was acting really weird. And I had so before the trip I went on, I had a suspicion that if I shut this computer down, it's not going to start up again. So when I came back from the trip, sure enough, it didn't start up. And so I figured out that it was one of the RAM modules had stopped working, because when I took it out, it boots up fine, and it's not the DD. It's not the RAM cartridge, not the cartridge. It's the actual memory stick. It's not the port you put the RAM in. And because I tried to boot the motherboard up with the working RAM stick.
That doesn't get us anywhere.
And both worked fine. And so that's like good news, but it's kind of the part I'm sorry, this guy's eyes are like really distracting me, but I when I built the computer this one is in now, I tried like two or three of my older motherboards, couldn't get them to work. And so now that I know it was the RAM stick that for some reason I couldn't get it to work, I'm thinking, because I have one more computer case, and so
there was always a railroad line adjacent to where the bodies are found.
Parts that
I
could build another really low-powered computer. I mean, not like low power and like low energy, but I mean, not really powerful. It's a 2-core processor I have that I could put in it. And so I'm thinking I might do that, and then it can just be a computer that just does not video rendering, but video encoding. And so that's like when you take like a file and you convert it into like
the killer is white,
convert it into like an MP4,
30 and 45.
or you convert it to a QuickTime
He's
MOV,
intelligent, calm,
or like
determined.
You convert it to
an organized type. He has a car,
a flash file or whatnot.
He's probably employed, but his work allows him free time.
That part, it's computationally intense, but it's something that takes a while, and so if the other computers don't have to do it,
Killer is
they
white,
can focus just
age
on
between
rendering,
30 and
which is like
45.
actually taking an edit.
He's intelligent, calm,
making it a movie,
and determined.
and so it'd be nice to
Organized
have one
type.
computer that's
He has a
dedicated
car.
just to like
He's
doing
probably
video conversion
employed, but
and
his work
whatnot.
allows him free time.
And so yeah, the first time I played this part of the game, I didn't know you could actually kill him. So this was like a surprise for me. I was like, what? He died? He didn't die in my original playthrough.
Hang on, John. I'll get help. Just hang on. Go on, hurry. I think the water's rising. I'm hurrying. I'll be right back.
But going back to building the computer, so I have all the parts if the other motherboards work, which I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping that the only reason why the motherboards didn't work was just because the one memory stick was bad. And I have the computer, if I build it, it's only going to have 2 gigabytes of RAM. But the only part I need is
Dad,
power supply.
He fell into a pile.
And it's funny.
He's
And the funny thing is that I had another computer that does Windows.
John's gonna die. John's gonna die.
Well, that'll be one less greedy mouth to feed, won't it?
The power supply just
Go away.
Please, Dad,
it just blew, and so I was like, well, I need a new one. But I didn't have at the time. I didn't want to spend the amount to get like a 600 power supply, 600 watt, and it's like it just needed like a 400 watt power supply.
I tried, John.
And,
I really tried.
So
But he
I
wouldn't
found like
come.
a really cheap one, but it
Please
did
don't
500
die,
watts,
John.
and I was like, well, and like the secret to getting a good power supply is you really have to figure out how heavy it is, because the components that go into a good power supply are really heavy. So if you have like a really light power supply, it's usually not good components. So I said, well, we'll see. And so I ordered it online, and so there's nowhere where you can see how heavy it was. But there were like some reviews of it. They're like, this is the best thing ever. Worked fine with my PC. And then there are other reviews that are like, this thing is a piece of crap. Blah blah blah. It says it does 500 watts, but it only does like 250. And I was like, oh. So it was really suspicious, but it was like $15. I mean, I think it was a little more than that. It might have been like $20. And so I was like, well, we'll see if it works. And so I put it in. At first, it doesn't work. And then I kind of mess around with connecting different SATA ports to different hard drives, and then it works. And so, I mean, it still works. It's been running for a couple of months, the computer. And so it's like, wow, I'm glad I didn't, kind of spend a lot more to get the higher end power supply. And so I'm thinking, but the other thing is that when it came, so I thought it was, and in the pictures it looked like it was a full-size ATX, which is the kind of the case size motherboard and dimensions for it's kind of like the standard, but no, this one is like it's a half. It's the full height and width of a regular power supply, but the length of it is like almost a quarter of it. So it's like ultra thin. I was not expecting this. but it works. So I think I'm gonna. That's the only part that's missing for this other computer I want to build. Is I need an extra power supply. So I think after the next payday, I'm going to order it. There's a couple of things I have to buy, and I'm like putting them off, but some of them are things I need for production, and I'm like, I don't want for video production, and so I'm kind of like, especially with early fall, it's just like I need to get this stuff before it's winter, because winter is really the time I work on editing and rendering, mainly because it gets so cold where I work that it's just like I can overclock the motherboards. I don't have to worry about anything overheating. And then I've been doing a lot of research. Right now I sell my photography through my web store, which is fortations.com. No, it's fortationstore.com. That's the actual store. Fortations.com is kind of the blog where I kind of tie all my social media accounts to. But so for one thing, I've been trying to get my photography in a couple of galleries, and that part's been going well. But then I'm also trying to get them into like galleries where they'll actually sell your art, and that part is just like, oh, it's so painful, because with art galleries that are like half art gallery, half coffee shop, a lot of times the cut is like 30%, so they'll take 30% of what you sell for. But in art galleries that are like 100% dedicated to selling art, they take like 50 to 60%. So it's like, it's kind of painful. But not only that, so I was like, okay, so I searched for art galleries and in Google, and like half of them, they're not accepting art. I was like, oh, this is dreadful. And then other ones are. They like you have to become an art sponsor. Like they don't call it art sponsor, but you have to become somebody that you have to pay. Number one, you have to pay yearly to be a member, and then on top of that, you have to put shows together, but not just shows of like your own art. You have to like help set up different shows throughout the month, and there's like a couple shows a month, and then you have to pay for like food. Everyone brings like something.
He could come back anytime.
Like some piece of food and everything for people, browsing through the art and stuff. So you have to like set up like several art parties for people to come to. It's like, I don't really want to do that. And if you don't want to do that, you can pay extra, but
I'll go through it room by room. There's bound to be some kind of.
You're not okay. You pay. Every year, but that doesn't guarantee that your artwork's going to be sold. So you can pay for like 3 years and not have a single piece of art sell. And so that's kind of why I prefer like the 30% cut or the 50% cut. I mean, I really don't want the 50% cut, but it's okay because the gallery wants to sell your artwork, where the other galleries that do it the other way, where you have to pay yearly to have your artwork there, they kind of passive about selling your art because they make money either way. So that part's kind of been difficult.
That's where the smell of burning comes
finding which route I want to go.
Evidence
and
going
so
up in
the other
smoke.
day I was searching for like art brokers, and they're kind of like people who will sell your art and things, and then I found several sites, and they're
Cop's uniform.
Top 10 reputable
Always trust a cop.
places to buy art from in your
That's
area.
why children
so you
went
just
with
put
him.
in
He
the
was
city
dressed
you
as a
live in, and
cop.
it's just like these are the top, best places to deal with. And so I put in a couple of cities I wanted to sell in Michigan. And then it was just like, check out this gallery, check out that gallery. And every gallery it showed, it was totally not a gallery that sells other people's art. Like, a lot of them were just like a gallery that was made by the artist, and they only sell their stuff. Which is like, of course, if you open up your own gallery, you're only going to sell your artwork.
Cultivated the orchids that
So
he
it
left
wasn't
on the
like
chest of
any
his
place
victims.
that was accepting entries. And then a lot of them just straight up didn't exist anymore. And it was like
Sean
they haven't
Mars.
existed for a couple of years. So
Lunatic's
it's like,
been
what
watching
is
him
this still on your
drown.
list?
It's some kind of a...
So
Shit, it
it
needs
was
a
kind
password.
of a big waste of time. So then the other thing I was looking into was like, maybe I can get into auction houses. But I was reading several articles, and so what a lot of people don't know is a lot of times buying things from the auction, even though it might not seem like it's cheaper, the whole point of the auction is to sell
Got
things
it.
for
Max, the name John gave to his paper dogs
kind of
when
like
he was a
at a
child.
deal, so that
the
you're not
hell
paying
is
like the
that?
full price.
An address. It's gotta be where Sean Mars is. Hurry.
And so,
There's no time to lose.
I didn't realize that about auctions, but a lot of times that's how how the auctions start, is they advertise it at such a low price that you want to bid on it and still get it for a better price than
So you found my little secret?
over,
than buying
Scott.
it straight out.
All
So,
those
yeah,
children
that's
killed just to
interesting.
find a father capable of saving his son?
Shut up! You don't understand.
There's one child left. There might still be time to save him. Let him go. Do what your father couldn't do.
Get in there.
So art class is going good, and then the other one I have is my computer class, and that one is it's going pretty well. It's been a while since I've taken a college class where I've had a lecture. A lot of the college classes I've taken earlier, a couple of years ago. I took a break in between for a while. But before I took the break, a lot of the classes I did were they were both online, and then another one a couple that I took was called Open Entry, and so that's just you go into a computer lab, and it's a computer lab just for these students, and you do the work, but there's no lecture. You just have to read the book, and then you have to do the homework there, and then there's a couple of tasks where you have to take apart a computer and whatnot. But so it's been a while since I had an actual lecture class, so it's kind of funny because the classes are good, and the computer class I'm learning a lot, and it's easier because like a lot of the textbooks are just like stupid, where I don't like the way it's set up, because it's almost like they're trying to make it for people with low attention spans, where it's like you have like the regular text and the columns and everything, but then it's like here's computer, almost like here's Clippy, from Microsoft Word, where it's just like, did you know that it blah 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 blah, and they have like random facts and stuff scattered in. It's just like and there's like trying to be hip and cool. It's just like totally didn't need it. It's all covered in like the actual, if you like read the actual paragraphs. And so a lot of times what's nice about the lecture is that you don't have to deal with that so much, and you can just like pay attention to the lecture, and then you can just like skim through the textbook. You don't have to read it as in detail as you did when you only had the textbook to go off of. So that's nice. But I kind of feel like classes, it's almost like group therapy,
I'll kill myself
but
if I
instead of
jump.
like group therapy where it's like group therapy for everyone, I feel like it's kind of group therapy for the teacher. But it's interesting because the teacher talks about like all the other things she likes about the school, the things she doesn't like about the school, and so you really get it in a kind of the drama that goes behind the scenes with the different teachers and stuff. And so it's like, oh, you feel the same way about this teacher that the students feel and whatnot. And so that's interesting. Yeah, so far school's going pretty good. It's just like,
It's way too high.
half of me wishes
I'll
that
kill myself if I jump. I gotta find something
that I
else.
started. Half of me wishes I went back earlier. But everything happens for a reason, I guess. Oh, and so I have one more semester to go in school. Like, so excited. And yes, it's only for an associate's, and so I still have to do the bachelor's, unfortunately. But, even with, I'm really excited to be done with the community college I'm at. And before I was like, no, there's no way I'm going to graduation. Because I was like, I don't like being stuck with a lot of people, and they just, I don't know, it just seemed kind of pointless, and I didn't want to celebrate at the time. It's just like, I just want to be done. But now I'm like, I'm definitely going to graduation. You know, I'm gonna make it a huge day. We're gonna party. There's gonna be ice cream. There's going to be, you know, cookies, and everything. But, so I'm like really excited to graduate and for the graduation ceremony. And then I can finally take it off my resume that, you know, my degree is like in progress. Because a lot of times when you put it in progress, they're like, yeah, sure, you're still in college, we'll see if you get out. But once it's finished, it's just like, yeah, I got that diploma. I can make the big bucks. And a lot of, you know, I kind of learned it the hard way, but college isn't really about, I mean, it's about learning, but it's more that you can stick with the program and you can get things done, and you can kind of like finish the projects you start. So, I mean, that was and so that was, you know, interesting to learn, because like the computer science degree isn't that hard. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you have to learn, but it's just most of the things you got to do in the course was like a lot of group work, a lot of showing that, you know, you can work well with people, and it's just a lot of smaller projects. And so it was it wasn't so much, you know, based on, I mean, it's based on facts, but it's not based on like
I know where Sean Mars is. I've got to call that FBI guy Jaden. He's the only one I can trust.
You know how many pointers
He'll be able
it takes
to save
to
him.
do this, or other things like that. like I said, I'm trying to do more projects where I'm working outside and doing more nature photography, including landscape photography. But I'm also trying to work with film, specifically black and white film, and but I'm not trying to do 35 millimeter. I do what's called medium format, and medium format is around between 80 and 70 millimeters. It depends how you count it. And it depends on the camera you shoot with. Some of them crop the film. It's called 120 film that you use. And so some of the medium format cameras will crop it a little bit more, so it'll be like 70 millimeters. But the camera I use, it's about 80 millimeters of viewable space on the film. And so I shoot with a Hasselblad 500C. And I mean, I love it. But it's I used to process the film myself, and so I'd like use the chemicals and everything. And but the lab that I used, it was a class you could take, and I really good friends with the teacher, so she was like, take the class and you can develop as much film as you want. And so a lot of times I'd like help the students and everything develop their film.
Gotta open this goddamn grate.
But
Gotta
like,
find
I would
something
process
fast.
so much film by myself, and but they stopped offering the class, and it was at a local art gallery. And so I was kind of experimenting with other places, like that you could send away your film and they'd develop it and send it back. But so there was one company I used, and they did a great job with the film. And so essentially, you fill out this form online, and then you print it, and then you put in your check in the box with the film, and then they send you back your film and with it developed. And this was a couple years ago. So then I tried to find this company, and I couldn't find them in my email. So it's like, I couldn't remember the name either. And so then I was looking at all these other companies that do the same thing, and oh my goodness. So a lot of them will do the medium format
Answer me.
film, but then I was kind of hoping that they would scan it too. And so I was expecting a bit extra, but then there was this one company, and it was horrible what they were charging, because they would charge like $8 to develop a roll of medium format film, but then it was like $12 for a scan. But it wasn't just like a scan, it was a low res scan, and the resolution was like super low. It was like less than 2 megapixels. I was like, are you kidding me? You're charging $12 for a really low res scan? And they're like, if you want a medium format, it's like $20. I mean, a medium resolution scan of your medium format, it's like $20. And I was like, what? That is outrageous. That is highway robbery. And the resolution they were scanning at from the medium res that they said was still really low. And the whole point of medium format is that it's a lot higher quality. You get a lot higher quality image because it's double the area of 35 millimeter, and so you have an improved depth of field. A lot of times the depth of field is shallower, but it's also like higher quality. There's more separation between different objects and elements.
I thought you were gone.
And so
Dad, I knew you would come and
Yeah.
save me.
it just looks better. And so it's like a joke to have so low of a resolution, because a lot of times the digital version of medium format starts at like 50 megapixels.
Whatever happens,
so it's significantly higher quality
anything in the world.
method for photography.
I'm not dead.
And so then they had a third option for high res,
poison an hour ago.
and they wouldn't tell you what resolution they scan at for high res. And it's like, that's not good that they don't even tell you. And then they don't even tell you the price. They're like, please inquire if you want high res scans of your film. And so it's like, no, forget that. If you're not even going to advertise the price, and the other two options are already like
Ethan!
ridiculously priced.
What are you doing
Then,
here?
I did some hunting around. I know who the killer is, Ethan. I can prove your innocence.
Congratulations, Ethan. You succeeded. You're the father that I have been looking for all these years.
And so
The man capable of giving his own
now
life
kind of
to
like,
save his son.
so I have like this
You
new
got what you
plan
wanted.
where I have a
I finished
I have
your
a scanner,
trials.
and it scans 35 millimeter, but
Now let us go.
I'm afraid that's not possible. Your lady friend knows my little secret. I don't intend to end my days in prison.
it doesn't scan 35 millimeter. I mean, it doesn't scan medium format.
I'm going to have to
So I was
kill
like,
you.
so I'm gonna later this week. I'm going
I'm sorry.
to try scanning
You earned my respect.
some medium format film just to test it out. But I'm gonna get I have a
Ethan!
I have what is it called? Not a light box, but a it's like I used to know the name of it, but maybe there's a light box, but it's just a box that has diffused light and one side of it's glass. And so like a lot of times doctors will use it to look at x-rays and whatnot, and a lot of people who work with film will use it to look at negatives. But I'm planning on just putting that upside down on the scanner and have the film in between that, and having the negative in between the scanner and the light box. So hopefully that works. The only reason why I think it might not work is because I can't manually turn off the light on the scanner. So it's going to be like double light, and I'm afraid it's just going to be one big glare when it scans. But we'll see. I have all of my film, all my medium format film scanned, but it's not, the scan isn't like that great. It's high res, but
Go ahead.
it's kind of
Shoot.
low
What are
detail.
you waiting for?
And by low detail, I mean like low range, like range and less like shades of gray, so to say. It's very much higher contrast than the actual film is, and so that's why I want to rescan them. So I'm saving up for a car. I've talked about it kind of often, but my last car was smashed by a tree. A tree fell on it, and it was totaled. And then the insurance money wasn't enough to get. It wasn't enough to get a used car that didn't have less than 100,000 miles on it. So it was just like, so I'm saving up to get a new car. I still have the insurance money, but it's not that much. But I wanted, one of the things I want to do with photography is I kind of want to do this kind of Great American Journey where I like photograph most of America. But so I was looking for like trailers that I could get so hotel the whole time. Because I figure if I stay in the trailer, I can spend more money on travel and see more places. I mean, you still have to pay for like the parks and that you stay at and whatnot, but it's still less than a hotel, especially in travel season. But so I decided that I would go with a teardrop trailer, like a little thing that any car can tow. But I kept looking at all these ones and it didn't make sense because a lot of them were like 7,000. There were several that were 10,000, and this is if you buy it new. But then the used versions from like the different RV dealers, they would still be like $5,000. It's like, I don't want to pay, $5,000 for a teardrop trailer that's been like heavily used. Because you never know what's going to happen.
There was general relief this morning when the police announced that they had found Sean Mars alive more than 4 days after his disappearance. Mars had been imprisoned in a well
found
by the
a company
man known
that,
as the Origami Killer.
the quality looks good.
The successful
and
resolution of this case
they have a
was
lot
made
of different
possible only by the
options and
bravery
add-ons you
of
can
Ethan
get.
Mars,
But
who the police
they
believed
actually
at one point
advertise
to be
their
the
base
killer.
price.
It is no doubt due to
And they
his
build
great
it.
courage and tenacity that he succeeded in foiling the
Built to
plans of
order.
the Origami
And so the
Killer.
base price starts around like 4,000, and then you can add different things on like stove, oven. And that part made me laugh. Is like, wow, because I'm essentially camping. It's like you can get a portable oven in your teardrop trailer. So I was impressed with that. But like I said, the base prices for a lot of them were 4,000. I was like, I can afford that. And then,
but further details have not
they're
yet been released
lightweight,
to the
but
public.
the company was
Unfortunately, the investigation has
like
cost
the
the life
American
of
teardrop,
Norman Jayden, the FBI
American
profiler
teardrop or
working on the
something.
case. Jayden
And
was
so,
killed while trying to arrest the
I'm
Origami Killer
I'm trying to
in
price mine out
circumstances that remain
before I
unclear.
contact them.
A full
but-
police
I
investigation
mean, it looks
is
like
pending.
it's really going to happen. I mean, obviously at first I had to save up for the car, but it looks like I wouldn't have to wait that much longer after I get the car to get the teardrop trailer. So,
let's just say a friend of a friend let me jump in line. If we like it, it's ours.
yeah, that's that. Looks like we're getting close to the end of Heavy Rain. I mean, this is the last scene, but
Hey, Dad! I think I found my room!
so thanks for tuning in to the Heavy Rain Let's Play.
It's perfect,
It's been a long trip.
We'll be able to forget what happened. We'll lead a normal life. And one day, it'll all just
And
seem
then,
like a bad dream.
The next game in the Let's Play series is going to be Rise of the Tomb Raider.
All three of us.
And those episodes are going to be longer. It's going to be about an hour and a half each episode. And then we released the Let's Plays first on Patreon at LCD Productions. And then we trickle them out to Twitch with Thumbs United once a week. And then
He's
they
being
eventually
buried in
end up
2
on
days
YouTube
in some
open to the
godforsaken
public
hole in the back end of Beyond
after
near
they
Washington.
go to Twitch.
I have to attend as a matter of protocol.
I'll pass. Jane and I didn't see eye to eye on much.
No problem. I understand.
Hey, sir, I still have his glasses. What should I do with them?
Well, you won't be needing them again. Do whatever you want with them.
And so yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider's next. I'm playing the PC version. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Kind of nice supernatural ending. But so yeah, tune in next week for Rise of the Tomb Raider. I'm trying to think of what else I want to say. And then after this is the credits. I let the credits play out. Gotta give credit to the developers.
I want to see them again.
I'm a father too.
So, thanks for tuning in. This is Thunder United. I'm gonna let the credits play out. And then next week, I'm gonna visit the Tomb Raider.
Stay back! Don't come near me, or I'll shoot!